Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Little Craft Room podcast. My name is Nicola. I am the owner of A Little Craft Room. You can find me many different places across the internet, all as A Little Craft Room. And this is just my podcast to talk about all the stuff I've been knitting, all the stuff I've been crocheting, yarn that I've bought, yarn shows that I've been to, and just like other things like that. It's been a while since my last podcast, and I'm becoming very aware that I start pretty much every podcast by saying it's been a while since my last one. But I am a busy woman, okay? I am a private science tutor, self-employed, and it is currently the 30th of March, which means in the UK we are gearing up for exam season. So I've got a lot of students at the moment who want a lot of lessons, especially as we approach the Easter holidays. And yeah, things are kind of crazy at the moment. But I did want to set aside some time to do a podcast because I know it's been a while since I've done one. And it's only going to get busier from here because not only have we got exam season, but I am also in the midst of wedding planning. So if I didn't do it now, I was never going to be able to get a chance to do it. So yeah, let's jump straight in with what I am wearing today. So this was one that I believe I was in the process of knitting when I filmed episode 20. This is the Keep It Warm sweater by Yeon, and I made this using Hubby yarn. It was part of the Hubby Creators program last spring. They wanted to do like a spring themed content thing, so I picked these two colours. So this is two yarns held together. I used the Hubby soft alpaca in the colour light brown, and then I held it together with the Friends Kid Silk in the colour dusty mauve. And the idea that I was going for with this is like a tree that's just about to blossom, because I love blossom trees. That's one of my favourite parts of spring, when the blossoms start to come out, and I really wanted to see if holding the brown and the dusty mauve together would kind of hint at that. The pink does come through far more in person than I think it will do on camera. My camera is not the best, but I think it is coming through. You do just have this slight kind of hints of pink just popping through. So I actually do think it's kind of worked with the vision that I had in mind, and I am quite happy with it. What I have found is that this combination of yarn maybe isn't one that I can do right next to skin, especially around my neck and my collarbone area. So I do have to wear a top underneath this. I can't just wear this, on its own. But I think that might just be a mohair thing, like a kid silk mohair thing for me. But it is lovely and warm, which is perfect because I personally kind of get a little bit excited with spring, and I'm like, oh, it's spring, that means it's going to be warm. Not necessarily. So actually I find this jumper is perfect for spring when I think it's warmer than it is, and I do have to wear a little layer over the top. And yeah, so I was quite happy with the yarn for this one. But now let's talk about the pattern, because can we just appreciate, I'll show you the whole thing. This is the lacework. It is a beautiful pattern, and it has a lacework design running all the way down the sleeves as well. I love this design so much. I think it's absolutely stunning. If I were to make this again, I think I would consider doing it without a mohair, purely because the fuzz does, obviously you can see the lacework pattern perfectly clearly, like there's nothing, it's not obscured in any way, but I don't think it's as crisp as it could be. So if I were to make this again, I think I'd do it with a single yarn without a mohair, just to get the really clean lines on the lacework pattern. I just think it would clean it up a little bit. But what I will say is, and I did suspect this would be the case, blocking was like so important with this one, because in my last video you could see as I was showing off the sleeves, the stockinette stitch was kind of curling over and covering up the lacework, and you couldn't really see it. I knew that it would bloom when I blocked it, but that was actually really, really important for making sure that the lace was really visible, which, let's face it, this is the feature of this pattern. It's just such a gorgeous, gorgeous design, and I'm very happy with it. I've worn it a lot. actually. So this is one of those sweaters that I wear if I kind of want an outfit to look kind of nice, but not too dressy. So like this and a pair of jeans, great. I've worn that outfit so many times already. So yes, this is the first finished object that I'm going to talk about, or that I have talked about. The Keep It Warm sweater by Yeon Lee in Hubby Soft Alpaca and Friends Kid Silk. Now, obviously, because it's been a while since my last podcast, I think it was in like August or something, I've finished several things since then, but I'm not going to spend, ages and ages and ages and ages talking about all the stuff, because like I said, I'm a busy woman. I've got stuff to do. So I'm just going to pick like a couple of things to talk about, a couple of key ones. So the first one I'm going to talk about was quite a while in the making, and I have nobody to blame but myself. So this next one's a finished crochet project, and it is the Wrenn top by Holly Woodward Designs. And I started this in 2022. I think it was, in fact, did I start this when I had COVID? I might have started this when I had COVID. Oh, I didn't realise that. But yeah, I started in around March, April 2022. And I got most of it done really, really quickly. And it wasn't until I got to the sleeves and I started to panic that I was going to run out of yarn. So I did the only logical thing and I stopped. Because if I don't keep going, I can't run out of yarn. I'm not saying it's the most logical decision there, but like I'm just giving you an insight into how my brain was working at the time. So yeah, I thought, well, if I stop making it, I can't run out of yarn. Which is very true. This project lasted so long. But the problem is I knew I really, really wanted the finished object, and I knew that like if I didn't carry on, I wasn't going to be able to wear it, obviously. And particularly around autumn time, I think partially because of the colour that I chose with this, we would get to autumn and I'd be trying to put together an outfit and I'd sit there and I'd go, you know what would look really good with this outfit? That top I haven't finished. So around September time, I thought, you know what, no, we're actually going to get this finished now. So I picked it back up. I was right. I didn't have quite enough yarn, but I made some modifications to account for that. So I made the sleeves slightly shorter than the pattern suggests, and I didn't add a cuff on the sleeves either. So it's kind of almost like bracelet length, but actually I'm quite happy with it. In fact, I'm gonna pop it on quickly just to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it's a crossover design top. I have put like a little stitch just in there just to hold it at the point where I would like it to cross over. I'm not going to be wearing it without a top underneath in general anyway. But I just like to know that it's secure. Just kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it. So with the sleeves, you can see it is just about the length where I would want it to be. There was a cuff part of the pattern, but yeah, as I said, I didn't quite have enough yarn. And actually I quite liked this idea. I also made the sleeves a little thinner than the pattern, so these sleeves were supposed to be a little wider, but I just kind of kept going until I ran out of yarn and was like, cool, that's how wide the sleeves are going to be. So yeah, they are a little slimmer, but actually I'm not mad about it. I quite like the way that this works up. There is like a hemband there, but I'm finding that I'm wearing it with the hem tucked in just to kind of give it that baggy, slightly kind of poofy look at the bottom. And that is how I'm tending to wear it. But I'm actually quite a fan of the slightly slimmer sleeves. I think that works really well for the kinds of clothes that I tend to gravitate towards. So I'm actually quite happy with the adjustments that I've made to this, despite me not having much choice, really, with the fact that I didn't have enough yarn. And that's the kicker, is if I'd carried on at the time and just realised I didn't have enough yarn, I could probably have found some more in the same dye lot. But because I left it for so long, I left it for nearly 2.5 years, there was no way I was going to be able to find the same dye lot. So it was entirely my own fault, and I take full responsibility for that. But I don't think I've said the name of the designer. This is Woodward Designs, and like I said, I started in 2022. I knew the second I saw the tester photos that I wanted to make this top. I thought it was going to be one that I would get a lot of wear out of, and immediately I was like, that top's going to happen. So this is made in Shepye's Merino Soft in the colour Clay, and I do just love this kind of wine red burgundy colour. I think it's really nice. The yarn was a little splitty to work with because it is 50% merino, but then the other 50% is a combination of different acrylic fibres. So it did split a little bit. I was poking my hook through the strand several times. But I think that's also partly because of my gauge. This was a looser gauge than I tend to work with in crochet. I'm just a tight crocheter, and I know that I'm a tight crocheter. But yeah. I'm really, really happy with this finally after 2 nights. It's a good job, really, considering how long it took. But I know that I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this. Particularly around autumn with all those outfits that I was putting together and going, oh, if only I'd finished that top. Oh gosh. Anyway, I'll put my other jumper back on now. Okay, there we go. The next finished object I'm going to talk about is a pair of socks that I started between Christmas and New Year. I always really like to have a project cast on in that week. I think, honestly, that's one of my favourite weeks of the year, just where, time means nothing, everybody's just kind of chill, there's watching films, eating all the leftovers from Christmas. That is absolutely my favourite week of the year. So I always like to just have a small project that I try and see if I can finish in that week. This absolutely did not happen. I did not finish this in the week, but I finished one of them in the week because I made a pair of socks. And I'm not somebody that makes socks a lot when it comes to knitting, but I've seen loads of sock patterns that I would really, really love to make. So I want to see if I can get into it a little bit more, because I know that you find some people are sock knitters and they absolutely love knitting socks. But I think for me, I'm more of a sweater knitter, and I just kind of want to occasionally knit the odd pair of socks. So this is, I think I'm pronouncing it right when I say the Gerste sock pattern from my 52 Weeks of Socks book by Lane Publishing. And I have both. In fact, I've got a lot of the Lane. I've got the 52 Weeks of Socks. I've got the second volume of 52 Weeks of Socks. I've got the 52 Weeks of Shawls, and there's such stunning patterns in there. But the designer of this is Verena Cohrs, and I apologise profusely if that's not pronounced right. But I really like this design. It took a while because of the gauge on this one. I used my Higher Sharp sock kit. I can't remember what the needle size was, but it was in 4-ply sock yarn. So it did take a little while. As I say, I finished the first one in that week between Christmas and New Year. And then for some reason, the second one just took a lot longer. I think because, work started back up again a little more regularly than it had in that week. The second one took, I think it was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something for just the second sock. But I'm really glad. I've worn these a couple of times now. One of my favourite things about the design is that the bottom for the sole is just a plain stocking stitch, and I find that makes it more comfortable to walk on. So I like the fact that that is just a flat stocking stitch, and then you've got the kind of the interesting bit on the top of the foot and all the way up the leg. And what I thought was great about this pattern is you actually had a choice of heel constructions. So if you've got a particular preference for the way that you like to knit your heels, great, that's fabulous. I chose, I don't know what the name of this construction is, I'm going to be honest. I chose that construction just because that is the one I've done before. And I just wanted something that was a little bit familiar, particularly as I was going for like a quick project. I wanted it to, to be finished sort of soon-ish. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the stocking stitch on the bottom for comfortable walking around. What I will say is that I absolutely did the cast off too tight. It was a toe up pattern, and I did use the tubular bind off because I was like, oh, it's stretchy, and I still did it a little tight. So it can be a little difficult to get on and off, but that is 100% on me. That is not a pattern thing. That is absolutely my own fault. I could pull it back. I can't be bothered, really. It's once it's on, it's not too bad. And I don't mind a slightly tighter cuff on my socks anyway, because I don't like the feeling of my socks falling down. So I think I'm probably going to leave it. And you never know, it might stretch out a bit with wear, she says. I don't know. But I've worn them several times, and I do find them very, very comfortable, despite the slight tightness of the cuff. And I even did it when I did the first one, and I thought, oh, that's a bit tight. I'll have to make sure I do it looser on the second one. Did I do it looser? No. Why would I do that? But at least they match, so now, you know, they're symmetrical. I'm consistent. At least there's that. But the yarn that I used for this one was one I got back in 2023. Around March 2023, a load of the indie dyers on Instagram kind of all collaborated together and did a special Pie Day celebration, and they all picked certain flavours of pie and did a yarn that matched their colours. And honestly, I thought that was such a great idea, particularly as like somebody involved in STEM. I loved that so much. So I used one of my Pie Day yarns for these socks, and it was the Camel's yarn, and she did a pumpkin and ginger pie. So yeah, I loved that idea so much. I didn't need any yarn, but I bought a couple of the Pie Day ones anyway. And I knew that I kind of wanted to use those yarns for socks. So yeah, finally used one of my Pie Day 2023 yarns. I like the fact that she included contrast colours as well, which, as you can see, I used for the toe and the cuff. I was tempted to use a contrast for the heel as well, but with the way that this was constructed and my distinct unfamiliarity with sock knitting, I just decided to play it safe. I will do more socks, and I will probably do a contrasting heel in some of the other socks I make, but I don't know, for this one I kind of just wanted to get more familiar with heel constructions before I start playing about with things like that. So I left the heel in the standard, the main colour, and then just did the contrast for the cuff and for the toe, and I'm really happy with it. As I say, I've worn them several times, and they look so pretty. They look so pretty. Once they're not covered in my hair. But yeah, so despite me not being a huge sock knitter, I do think I'm definitely going to make more socks, especially since I have so many sock patterns in my 52 Weeks of Socks books. So I've got a whole list of a lot of the socks I want to make, and a whole lot of yarn set aside for them. So I'm sure we'll have more socks in the future. It's not the first pair I've made, but socks aren't a pattern that a garment that I've made a lot, but there will be more. I think it's safe to say there will be more sock patterns. So yeah, the Gerste socks by Verena Cohrs, and I really, really hope I'm pronouncing those right. For finished objects, I'm kind of going to just leave it at those two, because as I say, it's been, probably 7-8 months since my last podcast. So I'm not going to sit here and just reel out finished object after finished object and just keep showing you those. What I am going to do is I'm going to show you some of the works in progress that I'm currently in the midst of. And one of them is quite exciting. It is the Celestial Mandala crochet pattern by Dedri. I have made this pattern before, and I decided when we went for our wedding tasting at the venue, we were doing it in the room with where the reception will be held, and behind where the top table's going to be, there is a red brick wall, and it just occurred to me while we were sat there, I was like, ooh, a really big white lace crochet mandala would look so good on that wool. So that's what I'm making. So yeah, I have made this before. I made this back in 2020 in the remains. No, I used a Shepier's whirl for it, and it was kind of like a blue. There was a gradient to it, but only a slight one. This one I'm making entirely in white for the kind of the bridal theme. It is rather large at the moment. It is going to be about 1 meter diameter. And the pattern is, as I say, it's by Dedri, and it is in the Shepier's Yarn Bookazine issue number 9, the now age. That is the version of the Bookazine where the pattern is. I don't know if it's available online as well, but I'm using the book for the pattern. And because I didn't want a gradient for this, I'm not using a whirl. I use 2 whirlettes in this kind of creamy colour that is called Ice. It's called Ice. The whirlettes are smaller than the whirls, so this is the second whirlette, just to make sure I had enough yarn for it. But I am very, very close to the end, actually. Last night I finished row 56 of 59, so we are really, really close to completion, actually. I do have the hoop. I'm going to frame it in ready. It's sat over there, and this is going to be stretched to within 1 inch of its life. I mean, as I say, it's going to be about 1 meter diameter. While this is big, it's not 1 meter big yet. So luckily this has got a lot of stretch to it, and from the last time I did it, the stretch really brings out the pattern in the mandala. Oh, a bit of paper in it there. The stretch really brings out the pattern in the mandala, and I'm really excited to see how this comes out. I would say it's been quicker since I've done it before. No, it's not. I'm making the same mistakes that I made last time, and that's just because I'm not reading the pattern properly. I have been doing this live on Twitch as well, so I've been chatting to people while I've been making it, so it hasn't exactly been like super focused, all of my attention. So, but like, I think, it's fine. I'm still very, very happy with how it's turned out. As you can see, I very much like this pattern. I wouldn't be making it for a second time if I didn't. And I am really looking forward to having this finished and in the hoop, which could be within the next week, 2 weeks. Obviously with it being in rounds, each round is now significantly larger than the last. And at the last count, I think even for the last 3 rounds, I've got something like over 2,000 stitches to do, so that's gonna be great. But I don't think it's gonna take that long. I did about 1,700 stitches on it last night. So yeah, I don't think we're long off finishing this. My goal was to finish it before Easter, but with the exams coming up, I knew that Easter onwards was going to be insane for work, and I knew that I wouldn't have a lot of time after that. So I thought if it's not done by Easter, the chance of it getting finished starts to drop significantly. And I am on track for that. In fact, I'm on track to definitely get it done before Easter. I'm hoping, start of April, maybe. But yeah. So that one should be finished relatively soon, she says, crossing her fingers. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to having that behind the top table at my wedding, which is very exciting. So that is one of the patterns, one of the projects that I'm currently working on. The second, it's got a slight link to the wedding. It's not like necessarily wedding related, but it is hen do related. So for anyone not in the UK, we have bachelorette parties, but we call them hen do's. Don't ask me why, I couldn't tell you. So my hen do is coming up. next weekend. And I started this cardigan in January with the intention of wearing it on my hen do, because I'm making it in white. I thought, oh, perfect, it's going to have that slight bridal feel. I will be wearing white as part of the outfits on my hen do. I don't know what we're doing. It's all a complete surprise. I'm very, very excited. But I do know that I'm in white. And I thought, great, perfect, because I'd been really, really wanting to make the Maybury cardigan by Amy Lowden. So this is where we are up to. I have cast off for the body. I'm expecting that it will grow a little bit during blocking. It is entirely in fisherman's rib, which is not a stitch I'd tried before this cardigan. It looks very similar to brioche, and I thought maybe the construction would be similar. But there is a difference. But if it's anything like brioche, it will grow when you block it. So I am hoping that there will be a little bit of a drop. But if not, I'm not too mad. One of my main goals for this cardigan was to wear it with skirts and dresses. And I find, for me, if I'm wearing a cardigan with a skirt or a dress, I want it to be shorter than the sweaters and cardigans that I wear with jeans. Just that's my personal preference on the length of it. So if it doesn't grow significantly, I'm not going to be too disappointed. But I do want it to grow considerably in how fast I'm getting it knit. Because, as I say, my hen party is on Saturday. It is currently Sunday, as I film this. So I'm going to have to get a move on. As I say, I started this in January, so this has taken a while, and I think it's because it's fisherman's rib all over, and that it's not a stitch I've tried before. Also, the button band is actually knitted as you go in double knitting, which also something I hadn't tried before. So I've learned a couple of things with this project. But it has taken longer than anticipated. So I think I'm going to have to spend the next 5 days knitting a lot. Not that I have time to do all that, because I've got all my lessons. But we are going to have to step on it with the time scale to try and see if I can get this finished. I still want to get this finished. I don't know whether that makes me slightly deluded. In my head, I can do this. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I can get this finished by Thursday, I can block it and get it laid out on Thursday night, and then it's got Thursday night, all day Friday, and Friday night to dry, and I'll put the hairdryer on it if I need to, because we've done that before to speed up the drying process after blocking. So if I can get 2 sleeves done by Thursday, that feels possible. I started on this sleeve yesterday, and I've done that in the last 24 hours. So I literally cast on for the sleeve of that about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So it could happen. I might not sleep, but I could get that done, I think. She says. I don't know. I think I can. What I did do, and this is just a symptom of being so busy and my brain I was away with the fairies yesterday. It was one of those days where I was just not with it. I got 23 rounds into the sleeve before I realised when I picked up the stitches under the arm, I'd done it inside out. So there is a ridge. The ridge for the underarm thing is on the outside, which you can just about see there. I'm going to leave it. I'm not pulling it back. I want to get it finished. And let's be honest, how often do you do that with your cardigans and sweaters? How often do people see the underarms clearly enough to see a seam? I'm going to leave it. It's a feature. It's inspired by the original pattern. Oh gosh, I couldn't believe it. I literally sat there. I noticed it about 7 o'clock last night, and I just sat on the sofa and I was just like, and I did. I was kind of do I pull back or do I leave it? Especially knowing that I was 23 rounds in. And I just decided to leave it. If it bothers me that much, I will pull it back after the hen do. But I don't really want to, because I am holding a kid silk with this. I really, really don't want to pull back, because it's a nightmare to pull back mohair. I really, really hate pulling back mohair. There's just something about it I really, really don't like. I mean, I don't like pulling back any knitting. I'm far happier to pull back on crochet, but knitting, no thank you. So I can't see it bothering me enough to rip it back. But the yarn that I'm using, I am holding two together. Oh, get the ball bands. That is not the right ball band. That one is. So the main yarn that I'm using is Wool Tops. And it is their Falklands Fine Merino in 4-ply. I believe this is just like an undyed version. I bought this at Stitch Fest Southwest back in November, and I knew that I wanted to buy one of their yarns because all weekend I just kept going to their stall and just like squishing the yarns. They were so soft. Absolutely, just I was obsessed. So I knew I was going to be buying one of their yarns. And I've been dying to make some cardigans because I realised that I have one knitted casual cardigan and one crocheted casual cardigan. And I feel like I would wear a lot more if I had more options. So 2025 for me, I think I've kind of unofficially decided it's the year of the cardigan. So I've got 3 cardigans that I'm planning on making this year. This is one of them. The other one is the Seasons cardigan by Ozetta, and the other one is the Calm Down cardigan by Lily Kate Makes. And yeah, despite this one being slower than anticipated, probably because of the fisherman's rib, I reckon I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this, especially, you know, towards the end of spring. I might wear it for one of the yarn shows that I'm going to, depending on the temperature. But if last year is anything to go by, I might need more than this cardigan. Anyway, I was talking about the yarn. So yeah, the main yarn that I'm using is Wool Tops, and then I'm holding it together with the Drops Kid Silk in colour 1. That's all it says. It just says 1. So yeah, those are the 2 yarns that I'm holding together for this, and it is just, this whole thing is just so squishy. It's just so squidgy, and it's going to be really, really warm, which was one of the instructions for an outfit for my hen do, because I haven't been told what I'm doing, but I've been given a vague list of outfit ideas that I will need, and one of them was, you'll want to be warm. No idea. So I thought, oh, perfect, I've got this. I've got a white cardigan that I'm in the middle of knitting. Like I said, I'm going to have to crack on with this. I will be, you know, getting straight on with this once I've finished filming this before today's lessons begin. So, yeah, I'm really going to have to get a move on. But it's fine. We'll manage. We'll be fine. She says. We might be. We might not be. I'm in my kind of denial phase. I'm like, I'm totally going to get this done. There'll be no problem. So those are my 2 whips at the moment. Those are what I'm working on. I have acquired some yarn in the last 7 months, which I know is horrifying. I'm sure you can't believe that I've acquired yarn in the last 7 months, but I have. One of them, so this one was birthday presents. I got some Wool Warehouse vouchers for my birthday, and I have had the Movement sweater by Lily Kate Makes in my queue since she posted the first ever picture of it. I knew that I wanted to make that. So I bought the sweaters quantity of Malabrigo Rios in the colour Jacaranda. I have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce that. And it is in this lovely kind of purpley colour, which really isn't showing very well on the camera. But yeah, I've bought all of this with the intention of making the Movement sweater. And it was at that point that I realised I have not made myself anything in purple, which isn't intentional. I quite like purple as a colour. I've made things for other people in purple, but I've never made myself anything in purple. I don't think any of my garments that I've made myself are purple. So I thought it was about time, really. And I'm really, the movement sweater, you know, when you look at a pattern and you think, I'm going to wear that all the time, that's going to be the movement sweater for me. I'm going to wear that so much. So yeah, this is 100% superwash merino. And I think after this cardigan, I'm really looking forward to something that's just in stocking stitch. I love having a plain stocking stitch project on the go, because it's just such a mindless one for me. I can just put something on if I want to watch something and just go, and I don't really need to think about it. Even if there are slight details, you know, on like seams or joins or something like that, as long as it's a repetitive one with not too much going on, I love that so much. It just keeps my brain quiet. So that could be one of the next things I cast on. Not entirely sure, because as I just said, 2025 is the year of the cardigan. But I think by the end of 2025, I want to have the movement sweater, because, as I say, I know that's going to get so much wear. And I'm very looking forward to having that done and completed. One of my other acquisitions was a bit of an impulse buy. For anyone who knows me knows that I am a big reader. I love reading, and I was fully with the hype around Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. So when Onyx Storm came out at the start of the year, you can bet I was devouring every single. I read the first two again, and then started on Onyx Storm. And while I was scrolling through Instagram, I noticed that, sorry, packet sounds. The Copper Kettle Fibre and Floss was doing a limited edition Onyx Storm celebratory die thing, and she had a choice. You could buy a mystery set, and it would either be in the colours of Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, or Onyx Storm, and you could kind of pick which book you wanted the vibes for, and then she would send out your yarn. And I had to, because I was really enjoying those books. So I decided to go for the Iron Flame one. I don't know why, I didn't particularly have a super strong obsession with Iron Flame over the other two, but I don't know, I went for that one, and it arrived. So apologies for packet sounds. But it came as, I bought a main skein and then a set of minis, and those are the colours that came, and they are just gorgeous. And bless her, she included like some tea, some coffee, like some little biscuits, and some stitch markers as well, which, oh my god, like amazing. But I'm so obsessed with those colours. I don't think I've ever bought their yarn before. I think I might have bought a bag from them, a project bag, maybe a long time ago. But I think this is the first time I've actually bought their yarn. So it is a sock yarn, but it's in DK weight, so it's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I have no idea what I'm going to make with this. Absolutely don't have a clue. But whatever it is, I'm excited to make it, because I'm really looking forward to using this yarn. It's going to need to be something not too lacy and intricate, because sometimes I feel like that if you've got a really busy yarn and a busy pattern, I think only one of your things should be busy. And there's so many gorgeous colours going on in this yarn that I want to make sure that the colours shine. So yeah, I haven't the faintest idea what I'm going to make with this, but I'm excited to do it. And like I said, it's just lovely little touches. The fact that she added the tea and the coffee and the biscuits and the little stitch markers, like, it was so cute. But I was so excited when this arrived. It truly was. I've also been to a couple of yarn shows since I last did my podcast. I've shown you the yarn some of the yarn I got from Stitch Fest, because that was the wool tops that I'm using in my Maybury cardigan. But a couple of weeks ago, I was exhibiting at the Spring Kerno Yaff, which is a new one. Yaff in the autumn, they've been doing that for several years now, but this year was the first time they had a spring version. And so I was on my stall, I was selling my patterns, and I came home with a couple of yarns that I am planning on doing some designing with. I've got some kind of hints of ideas, nothing concrete yet, but the first one is this from Hooking Marvellous Yarns, and this is a 100% tencel yarn. I've not done a whole lot of plant fibres, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. Apparently this softens a lot when you block it. It's not rough at the moment, but it definitely has a bit of structure to it. So apparently this softens when you block it. As I say, I've got some ideas, but like the colours of this are just gorgeous, and the camera is not doing them justice in the slightest. Loads of really gorgeous warm oranges. This is going to be very nice as an autumnal thing, whatever that thing is. But yeah, Hooking Marvellous is great. I see her at a lot of yarn shows, so I'm really excited to try and get something designed in this. It is a 4-ply yarn, 400 meters to 100 grams, but yeah, 100% tencel, and this is the color Sunflowers as well. But to me, yeah, this is something autumnal, and I kind of wanted to branch out from my usual colours of teal, which a lot of my things are in teal, which I love teal, okay? I really, really like the colour teal. I've got a lot of teal things. I've got a lot of like kind of creamy, whitish things as well. So I thought I'd round out the palette a little bit. And then I also came home with this one from Bellica Yarns. Again, Bellica, I see her like all the time at loads of different yarn shows. I love her stuff. I've bought several of her yarns before, and I also have a project bag that I bought from her a few years ago, and I spent a good few minutes in the hall just staring at this yarn, because I was like, I want it, and I want to design something with it. And I don't know what, but I knew I wanted this yarn. So as you can see, it's mostly white, just with some ever so slight speckly bits within like dark pink with some browns in there as well. I really just wanted to design something in it, because I'm obsessed. So this is another 4-ply yarn. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So those are some things that I want to design in. What? We will find out. But yeah. So I got these from Spring Yaff. And then I also was sent some yarn from Knit Picks, which was very, very exciting. So I am now part of the Knit Picks creator community. So I'll put my link in the description box for if anybody wants to head online to Knit Picks and look through some of their yarns. If you use my code, I will earn some commission through your purchase. Want to be fully open about that. But I have used Knit Picks before. Not a huge amount though. So when they reached out and offered to send me some of their yarns to try out, obviously I said I'm sure I could manage that. I'm totally kidding. I was so excited. They asked me what fibres I liked and what colours I liked. So I said I quite like a natural fibre, wool, alpaca. I'm obsessed with alpaca. And at the moment, I'm gravitating towards really earthy colours, greens, browns, like burnt oranges. There's something about those colours right now that I'm just really feeling. I know it's completely the wrong season for those colours. I don't care. I just don't. So they sent me a few yarns to have a look at, and they are so soft. So they sent this twill, I'm not entirely sure which way that's supposed to be pronounced. So this is 100% superwash merino. It is a worsted weight yarn, and it is in the colour Fiddlehead, which immediately reminded me of Stardew Valley with the Fiddlehead ferns. I know that they are a thing, but my association, the brain association is strong for me. I love this colour. It's, again, camera's just not doing it's not doing any of the colours justice. But I think this is a really, really gorgeous foresty green colour. And again, no idea what I'm going to make with it, but I really, really want to try this out. It's squishy. It's not got much of a halo, so this could be good if I want a clean look to something. I don't know, just thinking out loud, really. So this was the first one. They also sent this Andean treasure in the colour Pine Cone Heather, which absolutely, that is the colour of a pine cone, 100%. So it's a DK weight, and this one is 100% baby alpaca, and oh my god, you can feel it. This one is so soft. It does have a little bit of a sort of halo, mostly because of the alpaca, I think. But this is just, it's so lovely and soft. Again, no idea what I'm going to make, but this is just such a rich brown colour. It's gorgeous. It's so, so nice. So we had the Andean treasure in Pine Cone Heather. We also had this swish in a worsted weight, colour Dublin. Honestly, I can see that. This is 100% fine superwash merino, and again, really, really soft. Honestly, these yarns, they are very, very soft. I keep saying the same thing, but like, I can't convey how soft they are. They're really, really nice. So yeah, swish in the colour Dublin. It's a brighter green than the camera is making it look. I will say that. And this one, the second I pulled it out of the bag, I went, oh, that's shiny, and then realised it's called gloss, and I was like, yeah, fair. So this is gloss. This is a DK weight yarn in the colour Smoky Quartz. It is brown. Okay, that is kind of coming through accurately on the camera. And this is 75% merino and 30% silk. And I think that's where some of the shine is coming from. And yeah, whatever this ends up being is going to be so gorgeous. So yeah, those were the ones that, those were the ones that Knitpicks said to me. Honestly, like, I said natural colours and natural fibres. They were like, understood. Like, they were like, yeah, we got this, don't you worry. And I need to think of some things I want to make with them. Obviously, I only have one of each. So I either combine them and do some colour work things, or I make some little things so that I can use the entirety of it in one project. Not sure which way I'm going to go with it yet. But I'm excited to start playing with them because, as I say, they're just so soft, all of them. And I'm just obsessed with these colours as well. I like the fact as well that even though they sent 2 greens and 2 browns, they are 2 very different greens and 2 very different browns. So, I mean, yeah, you can see the tones on those are completely different, even if the camera isn't showing them properly. And the tones on these as well, like this is a much warmer brown. This has almost got like a yellowy hue to it. And this is a cooler, almost mauve colour. So yeah, even though it's two greens and 2 browns, they are very, very different colours. So excited to try playing with those. Like even just, you know, in their caked or balled form, they're very squishy, very soft. So yeah, I'm going to have a think about what I want to make with those. But thank you very much to Knitpicks for sending them to me. And as I said, I'll put my my link in the description box so that if you want to have a look at what Knitpicks has, please feel free to do so. And speaking of being sent things, I was also contacted by Valari, who sent me one of their crafting / reading / gaming cushions. I have a whole separate video on that where I did an unboxing and a review. So if you want more information, feel free to go and have a look at that video. But I have been using this a lot, and you can tell because of the amount of mohair that's on it at the moment from my cardigan. So the idea, just the short version, is this is the cushion. You clip it round your waist while you are crafting, and it provides a little bit of a support for your arms. You can rest your elbows on it, and it stops you hunching over while you're crafting or reading or gaming, all three of which I do a lot. Gaming less so than the other two, but I do a lot of reading and crafting. And so when they offered to send me this, I was like, I think that is exactly the kind of thing that I would be very, very happy to try out, because it literally just ticks so many of my hobby boxes. So these are the colours that I chose. I picked a two-tone one. And yeah, as I don't know whether you can see how much mohair is on this right now, but I have used it a lot. I find it quite comfortable. I find it more comfortable in this chair than I do on the sofa, specifically for knitting. I think that's just because on the sofa, my knees end up being slightly higher than my butt. So on the sofa, I feel like it's a little too high, but it's perfect for this chair. And reading on the sofa, absolutely fabulous. I can read for quite a while. One of my problems is that I change position quite a lot when I'm reading, knitting, crocheting, whatever. I can never sit still, and I think only since I started using this, I've wondered whether it's just because I was never actually truly comfortable. And I noticed it when I was reading. I was using this to read on the sofa, and I realised I hadn't moved in about an hour and a half. And that is really unlike me. So I was really happy with this. When I'm knitting in this chair, I tend to like recline the chair back, and I have my feet either on my desk or somewhere on these shelves. It's a really terrible posture to have. But again, when I'm using this, I'm actually sat upright, which, you know, is a surprise to everybody. But even after I finished filming the video, the unboxing, and the kind of 2 weeks later review, I am getting quite a lot of use out of this. I don't think it's something that I'm going to take if I go away somewhere. I think this is something that I'm going to keep for using in the house, just because of how big and bulky it is. I think this is going to be something I mainly use while I'm inside, while I'm at home doing my crafting or my reading. I have used it for gaming. I've not done much gaming since I got it, but I did a stream where I was playing some Witcher 3, and again, I don't think I was doing a whole lot of moving in that. And that's the real tell, is when I'm not just constantly shifting about in my seat, changing position. That's the real tell for me that I'm actually comfortable, which it's strange that it's taken me until now to realise that maybe that's why I was moving around a lot. But I'm very aware that my posture is not the best as a general rule. So yeah, I have had a lot of use out of this Valari cushion, and I might give it a hoover once I'm done with my cardigan, just to get all the mohair off. So yes, I have been using that a lot. I also have a discount code for the Valari cushion. If anybody wants to buy their own, I will put the link and the code in the description box as well. If you know that your posture needs some work and you want to just be a little more comfortable while you're knitting and crocheting. A lot of people have said that it kind of helps with their shoulder and their kind of tension if they're kind of sat with like really tight shoulders, a little tensed, and they've said that it helps relax them. I personally didn't really have shoulder problems. I think I was probably on my way to shoulder problems with the way that I sit. But for me, I'm sitting in a better position when I do it, which I think is probably good for the long term, you know. So yes, the Valari cushion, that is their logo. And as I say, I will put my link and discount code in the description box in case anybody else wants one. That's kind of everything I had to show you. I have a couple of updates to talk about. I am going to be attending Wonderwool Wales only as an attendee. I'm not going to be exhibiting at Wonderwool Wales because I didn't apply. Simple as that. I might try applying to exhibit at some point, but this year I'm just attending, and I am so excited because last year was amazing. I loved it very, very much. That was the other thing that I was hoping to maybe have my Maybury cardigan finished for, which if I'm going to have it finished for this weekend, it's going to be finished for Wonderwool because Wonderwool is the end of April. But last year was bitterly cold. I remember as we were driving up, we had the ice warning come on in the car, which for the end of April was a little crazy. But yeah, that is the one thing I very much do remember about last year, is that it was cold. So I will be going a little more prepared in terms of my clothes this year. And but I'm so excited. I'm meeting up with some people that I know from social media and from Twitch. And yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to Wonderwool. The next yarn show that I am exhibiting at, or that I'm kind of there as a feature, no, that sounds weird, you know what I mean. I will be running workshops at the Great British Fibre Festival in June. I believe I'm trying to remember which workshops I'm doing at which festivals. I am doing a beginners and returners crochet workshop, and I'm also going to be doing a workshop on cabled crochet and how to create cable look with crochet stitches, because cables they're not just for knitters. So I'm running workshops at the Great British Fibre Festival in June, and really looking forward to that as well. It's going to be a busy few months for me. Which, like, I knew it was going to be super busy, but I think my brain is only just starting to come to terms with how busy, you know. So on that note, I probably should start getting on with things. And when I say things, I mean my cardigan, because that sleeve's not going to knit itself. So I'm gonna leave it here for today, and I'm gonna start trying to speed knit some fisherman's rib sleeves. Thank you so much if you've watched till the end. If you're still here, I really, really appreciate you. As I say, if you want more updates on what I'm knitting and crocheting, and probably more frequent updates, let's be honest, all of my social medias are below, and that's where I kind of post more regular, shorter version updates on what I'm up to. And yeah, I hope you are enjoying whatever you're crafting, whatever version of crafting you do, whether it's knitting, crochet, cross stitch, embroidery, sewing, whatever it is you happen to be doing. I hope you are enjoying it immensely, and I will see you next time. Bye.